Hello everyone, my name is Teacher Lena, and in this video I wanted to talk to you about how you as an ESL online English teacher can teach English to adults. So listen up. Well, my name, like I said, is Lena, Teacher Lena, and I am an ESL online teacher, and I've been doing it now for close to 2 years. And I love teaching to the children. I love it. They have so much energy. They're so fun to be with. They keep me laughing. But I was a kindergarten teacher for, hmm, hmm, 15 years. So that was my life for a long time. But many people just aren't able to, they don't feel as comfortable with children. That's just not their thing. They just want to teach with adults. And I could understand that. I really enjoy teaching the adults too. It can be a lot of fun and interesting talking to the adults. I've had some really good conversations with people all the way across the world, and I love it. I do. So I understand the desire that people have. Some people just, that's what they want to do. So I have made a list of companies that you can work for if you just want to teach with adults, or you want to teach adults and you just don't know where to go. So let's go through this list, and I'm going to go through the list and then I'll talk about each one a little bit more. Um, but and I do have a little bit of a different setup today. I've got this mic that was given to me by one of my sons, so I can be a little bit more clear, because the younger kids, they like this technical stuff, and I'm just not really all that techy, so they help me out. So I hope you can hear me okay. I'm sure you can hear me even better. But anyhow, so here's the list. iTutor Group, like Shua, English First, Tutoring Go, Paul Fish, Cambly, and iTalki. Okay, that's the list. And here's a little bit more about each one of these companies. The first one, iTutor Group. You need to have a bachelor's degree to work with iTutor Group. You need to have a TESOL to work with iTutor Group. You can work with adults, but those times that you work with adults are going to be usually when the children are sleeping. Because if you sign up to work with iTutor Group, you can't just say you only want to work with adults. You have to work with adults and children. So you need to be flexible. But what I've noticed is that after the children go to sleep, that's all you get, obviously, are adults. And so for me, I live in the CST, or Central Standard Time. So for me, that would mean that around 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock a.m., I could get all classes with adults. So that would, and then I can, with iTutor Group, you can teach around the clock. So you can teach all afternoon with adults, because most of the students are in China, or, around that area, Taipei. So you would have people in that time zone. So in our afternoon, that would mean the adults would be available. And a lot of times you do get those students who just stay up late who want to take a class. So in the afternoon, our afternoons, you can talk to adults. And also in the evenings, I found in my evenings, I can get classes with adults too. But like I said, you have to be flexible, and you cannot just choose adults. They are one of the higher paying companies, starting off at about $8 a class. It depends on what you get hired as. There's a different amount for every teacher depending on your experience. So that's something to keep in mind. But also, for adults, most of the time you get paid less for adults. So if you work with adults, you will probably get paid, you'll start off at $8 per class for an adult, which is a 45-minute class. But if you have more than one adult in the class, which you can, usually you do have 1 to 6 adults, well, the more adults you have in your class, the more you can get paid per class. And if they rate you higher, you get an even higher amount. So you can get up to like $18 or $20 an hour. when you teach those adults. But you can't pick, you don't know what those classes are going to be like. It's kind of like a random thing. But if you're there longer, it seems like people who are there longer, they get more requests. So they will get more students in their classes. So they get higher rates. But they are a company that books for you. The students can, like, they can request you, but I don't think there's really a guarantee that they'll get their teacher of choice. But the company books for you. You don't just open up slots and then parents sign on. It's not like that. The company books for you. You give them your availability, and they give you the students. So it's nice like that. Also, next school or company, English First is a lot like iTutor Group in that you apply and you can teach for adults and you can teach for children. But I believe with EF you can request which side you want to teach for. You can teach for either adults or children. So that's nice. And, there's a lot of bonuses for teaching the children. You can get, the incentives, and, you get paid higher when you teach the children. So you get paid lower if you teach the adults, but you get to teach adults. So that's nice. You do need to have a bachelor's degree. And with them, I think you don't necessarily have to be a native English speaker. I don't work with them, so I can't tell you as much about them as I could with iTutor Group. But with them, you do need to have a bachelor's degree, and then you can teach adults. And you can teach them just like around the clock when the children are sleeping. You can teach them because most of their students are going to be in the Asia area. So that would be our afternoon, which would be their evening, so they would be available. So EF, or English First. That is the name of that company. And then Like Shua. Like Shua is a company, you need a bachelor's degree. You would be able to teach adults, and they have different levels. They do have a program where you can teach children too. So you can teach children and adults. But to teach adults, there's different specifications or requirements than to teach children. But for that company, you do need to have a bachelor's degree and in order to apply. So Like Shua. And then Tutoring Go. This is a company which the ones that I've mentioned before, you do with you can have a camera so they get to see you, but with Tutoring Go, they don't see you. It's just purely, like phone contact. So you can call or they can call you, and then you're just talking and they don't even have to see you. So that's the cool thing about Tutoring Go is you don't have to be seen. It is very private. So that's a nice one. Now, the next few companies, you do not need to have a bachelor's degree in order to work with them. And Paul Fish is one. You can apply for them without a bachelor's degree, but you do need to have a TESOL. They do have two programs. They have one where you can teach children, but they also have free talk on Paul Fish. So you can set your own rates and people can call you. And, it's very interesting because you can make your profile, or you can record videos and, post moments about yourself. And then students will see who you are, and then they'll want to call you because they see that they have similar interests. So that's Paul Fish. Like I said, there's two different parts. One of them, you apply to both of them, but one of them have a little bit higher requirements as far as education in order to teach with them. But Paul Fish, and then there's Cambly. Cambly is, you can teach adults, as all of these companies. But with Cambly, people will call you. Most of the time it is adults, but sometimes children will call you too, and they will want to practice their English. And once you're on the call, you don't want to, stop the call because if you cancel a call or if you have disruptions, then that lowers your rate, and then the lower your rate, the less calls you're going to get. So once you get a call, you're on the call. You don't know who's calling you, so you just have to take it and be ready. And then they do have Cambly Kids too, which is all children, but that is a separate like department. You have to apply for that in order to work with Cambly Kids. But to work with Cambly is adults and children, but you do get mostly adults. You get a lot of adults. And Cambly is different because you get outside of, you know, China and Asian countries. You get people from Israel, Russia. You know, I've spoken to people from South America. I mean, you get more variety of people from my experience working with that company. So that might be the experience of these other companies like Shua and Tutor and Go. I've never taught with them, so I don't know all of the students that call in, but I do know Cambly is a lot of fun because I talk to a lot of interesting people all over the world. So I've really enjoyed that. And they're, you know, like I said, it's less when you just work with the adults. So they're about $10 an hour, but you can set your own hours. You can teach pretty much whenever you want. So it's very flexible in that way. And then italki is a lot like Cambly. You don't need a bachelor's degree, and you can sign on to talk, and people will call you, and they just want to practice their English. So a lot of times that's all you're doing. You're just talking about, you know, similar interests or just different things. You'll set the topic, and then you'll talk, and that's all they want to do is just practice their conversation. So you can have more structured lessons, and you can ask your student if they do want to learn like that. So you have that option, but, you know, or you could just talk. So that's the beauty about it. So, you know, that's a lot of the time what adults want to do. They want to talk and practice their English, and they want to have, you know, a non-threatening environment. They want to have something to talk about, a teacher who's going to correct them, but gently, but just allow them to practice what they've already been learning in their, you know, either in school or they've learned on their own some kind of way. So that's what you're providing, just conversation. And you could ask them all types of questions, and they'll ask you questions, and it's so fun. So, but like I said, you know, the rate of pay is generally lower for adults. So don't be surprised when the rate of pay is around $10 an hour. So, but it's a nice chunk of money when you can do it all day long, or, you know, you don't have those hours kind of, what's the word? They're restricted because the kids have to go to bed. No, the restrictions are limitless. You don't have restrictions, and you can teach a lot longer. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for listening. And like I say, you know, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, like it, and more. I do try to post every week, sometimes more than that. So please come back and watch. And if you have any questions, I would welcome questions. I'll leave my email down below along with the companies that I work for. And if you sign on with those companies, then I do get a credit. So I would appreciate it if you are interested, and I do help you if you do that. I will walk you through the process, answer any questions. I will do any coaching that you need. So just let me know. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye.